So I'm joined by the ladies of BitchBopz. They are taking the Memphis music scene by storm. They have their own podcast. They have their own aesthetic. They're really cool ladies. We have Ashley, Taylor, and Ellen. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
OMG.
absolutely. This is so exciting.
So I found y'all on Instagram, and I was immediately taken by how cool the brand was, how like in your face it was, and like touching on a very current vibe of music and aesthetics. I was very curious, how did y'all meet? How did all this get started?
Yeah. Well, we all met in different points of life, which is really funny. But I used to work in restaurants before I went to school for marketing and like graphic design and all that. And that is where I met Taylor. And we met while they were working at a Midtown bar. I won't say the name.
Yeah.
And we always bonded over music. And when was it? Like a year and a half ago, we saw 100 Gex together, and we like took a road trip, and yeah, we really bonded over that. And kind of always have bonded over music. And then Ellen and I met at Aero Creative because we were both working there. R.I.P. So I was doing like the social media marketing, and then Ellen was doing a lot.
Programs, management, administration. One of my favorite things to do was just to go down and talk to all the artists though. And since marketing was Ashley's gig, we ended up having the most sort of collaboration out of everybody that I worked with at Aero. A lot of the times it was me that knew who was going to be in the studios at a given time for her to get content from, et cetera, et cetera. And we kind of bonded over the fact that being intimate with artists is so cool. Being able to have a space where you could physically just walk down and say hello to people in studios in the middle of doing their thing was just really exciting for both of us. And so when we left Aero on our respective paths, we maintained a friendship over just the idea of being artistic community girlies. And she's the main reason that I have been out of my apartment, like for any other reason other than work or the grocery store. Yeah.
I love that. And what does it take for a bitch to bop?
Ooh, honestly,
great question.
Our biggest thing, and the reason why they are a part of this team with me, is like I've always really admired just authenticity when it comes to music, because I've always felt like, who am I to like use my voice, or I feel like I'm so worried about being perceived sometimes that I'm not always like my most authentic self. And yeah, I think that is really what BitchBopz represents, is like celebrating femininity and like femme music in general, because a lot of the time that is not always seen in a positive light. And also just like there is so much under the femme umbrella when it comes to femininity in music. And so, yeah, for a bitch bop, I feel like, just standing on business and being like, yeah, this is me, this is who I am. And yeah, being really authentic. What about you guys?
I mean, I'm feeling the main bop that we're dealing with is the ability to say, I miss being able to be a part of creating with other people. I think that especially ever since the pandemic, it's been really easy to be individualized, and it gave a lot of people the chance to work on their own craft and really hone some skill sets that they were able to do. And we're now coming to a point where the lack of meeting with other people and creating a space for dance, etc., it's something everybody's missing really, really hard. And so how to do that in a way that's innovative and not the same old expectation, just show up and be another person in a building. It's how do you show up and be a person with your friends, who's supporting friends, who's doing things with friends. It's just like, how do you make that a continued magnanimous kind of consideration? I think that's what the bop is.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Taylor?
I definitely feel very similar in a lot of the ways that they've already expressed, but I definitely feel like us coming together, just the three of us, and expressing all three different sides that we all represent, and just opening up other people's palettes, whether they're consuming as artists or, people who are just listening and want to, learn how to feel different things throughout different music. It's just nice opening up and getting everyone's different idea of what they like.
I love that. Y'all are kind of reminding me of the Powerpuff Girls right now. I want to know, do y'all have like 3 distinct personalities? Like, how describe y'all's personalities?
Yes, it's actually really funny you make that comparison because I am Bubbles.
Yeah.
100%. That's like always been my like G-Poi character. And we actually have a debate on this because they really go back and forth in terms of who's Buttercup and Blossom. Yeah. But for me, I mean, and you guys can speak for yourselves later, but what I've always loved about Taylor is that they always speak their mind and they're always like willing to be different and like commit to listening to different genres or like discovering new things and being open to that. And also like I come from like a very like girly pop world where I used to be like the Ariana Grande whatever kind of vibe. And
That's
so
my girl.
Same. I'm a Cancer, so
love cancers.
Yeah, but it was always really nice that these people who I felt like were so authentic and like Midtown cool, like I never felt like I could do that authentically, you know, and having people like this support me and being like, no, we see you and we, you know, want to be a part of your life.
You can
like,
still be bubblegum pop and be
Yeah.
Midtown cool.
Yeah.
You are the
Agreed.
coolest.
so much.
And
I have that
besides,
tattoo.
there's levels to this
You have a
shit.
tattoo.
You're more than that.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do think they represent just authenticity, artistic creativity, self-expression, and just being a bad bitch, not giving a F. Sorry.
Yeah. You can cuss on this podcast. Yeah. I don't care. Well, Instagram bleeps it out, but who cares?
Yeah. Fuck it.
What about who's Buttercup, who's Blossom over here?
Okay, yeah, look. Just like with Ashley, I was prescribed Blossom when I was younger. That was my signature. I have, again, it's weird to go back and forth, right? But I do feel a lot more Buttercup now in my days of older. But whenever I think about that, and this is actually a conversation Ashley and I have had, we have a really hard time prescribing Buttercup to me because of the like strong personality of a person that you are. Like, I don't feel like I present myself in front of people as strong as you do. And I think that I enjoy being able to curate a presentation for myself, and I get a little bit more nervous about it sometimes. So in that sense, I think that I can retrospectively agree that like you're Buttercup and I'm Blossom, but this is a discussion that we have yet to have. I think that it should be had though.
Yeah, it's evolving. Do you have Leo in your chart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how did you know?
Leo, Venus, and Sun.
Yeah.
Taylor's
We
a
do it.
Pisces.
I am,
Yes.
yeah.
Pisces energy. I love that. So
Lots of water here.
how do y'all work together? What is, when you have BitchBopz, which is his own brand, what's like the day-to-day? How do y'all keep the bitches bopping?
That's a great question.
Constant effort.
A lot of prayer and
Little sleep.
a lot of Canva action. No, but
Media consumption. Oh my gosh. So much media consumption.
yeah. Honestly, it's like it's a pretty collaborative effort. I would say like I do social media marketing for a living, and for me, like the reason I started doing BitchBopz is because I was doing so much work for local businesses and just bosses that I was like, this just doesn't resonate with me. And I'm sure that you have experienced this, where it's like, I feel like I am using my talents to benefit other people, and I have yet to feel fulfilled from like the work that I've given others. And so I was like, not only do I want to do this for myself, but I feel like there are so many people, including my friends, who want a community like this where we can talk and, you know, like carve out a space for the girlies that is like cute and aesthetic and all of that. And yeah, I will say that I committed like from the beginning of like, I know how to plan a content calendar and do all of that stuff. They were always 100% supportive of me and like had my back through all of that. And I was really just waiting until, because I didn't want to bring just all of my friends on and like, let's all do whatever. Because I mean, this is serious for me. Like I want this to be like, you know, a brand that is consistent with me for hopefully a while. But yeah, I was just kind of waiting, you know, for my friends to feel like they were in a place where they wanted to contribute and like, you know, be a part of that. And so, yeah, I think that was what around October, like November of this year.
I told you when when BitchBopz hit 1,000, I would start actively participating instead of just being a soundboard.
Yeah, nice. On Instagram?
Yeah.
I had to prove myself to her.
There you go.
I also needed more time to make sure that I could show up for you, because I've had issues in the past in my life of having a lot of people want my creative participation in some way or form. And a lot of the times it was either that they didn't really know what they wanted, and so it was hard for me. Like, I felt like pulling fingernails out to figure out what they needed, or the alternative would be that they would give me an idea and then it would be my responsibility to run that idea. And I don't have the ability to do that. Like, I am not organized enough and not focused enough in a day-to-day basis to be able to do that. So I also really needed to, I saw BitchBopz growing and I saw the work that you were doing, and I was like, okay, like, I really need to take a deep breath and focus on how I can show up on a regular basis. Like, what does Ellen have to offer really consistently that'll mean something to the community? And yeah, 1K, I was like, all right, that's my goal. It's just vague enough and yet just specific enough that I won't be able to run away from it, but it gives me a little bit of time to prepare.
Yeah. Taylor, what made you want to join?
Just because we've always had such an close relationship with music. It's something that we've just always discussed and have been, just sounding boards for each other of what we want to listen to and what we're listening to at this current moment, blah, 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 so and such. But I think, I felt like I was going to be wasting something if I didn't join up with people I really care about and curate something so fun that people in the community, my friends, like all my loved ones are able to see and participate in. If you have such a strong love for something, I just don't see how you couldn't follow through with it. Yeah. And I'm really lucky to have two people who I feel that, they're going to help me prosper with this project, and it'll turn into something even cooler than it already is. I just felt like I'd be missing out if I didn't do it.
Yeah, I love that. And you are officially the first one to cry on the podcast, so that is a huge honor.
Surprise, surprise.
That tracks.
That's big cancer energy right there.
That was so sweet.
That was very sweet.
We love you, bitch.
I can feel the bond between y'all, and music is this common thread. So what is it that made you want to focus on music in the Memphis music community?
Yeah. I think music is something that can so easily connect people, and a big way to share perspective and understanding with people. And again, with Ariana Grande, I love her and her vulnerability and her, way that she opens up about things. And yeah, I think with music, it's we can talk about bigger subjects through the lens of a specific song, or through the lens of Glorilla, or, celebrating Brat Summer, Chapel Roan, things like that. It's yes, those things have always happened and women have always been a part of the music space. But I think for us, it's we didn't really see a lot of that representation aside from girly pop music, and especially with local music. We've seen just so much in the Gen Z area, but just non-binary, femme, whatever, so many people being authentic and using their voice,
Yeah, girly pop is my number one favorite. I've always felt connected to that since ever my first cassette was Britney Spears, Baby One More Time. And to see y'all really highlight femininity and girliness, I haven't seen that done in Memphis yet.
Yeah.
So. And
what's funny is the reason I listened to that album for the first time is my older brother was gifted it by my Mima or something. And she was like, oh, this is a new pop star, da da da. And he was like, I'm not listening to this because it's for girls. And he gave it to me. Yeah. And I loved it. I was like, Britney Spears, oh my God. Yeah.
Shout out to Mima.
Shout out to Mima. Yeah. She's probably going to watch this, honestly. Yeah. She's a bopper.
Yeah. What about y'all? What does music mean to y'all in the celebrating it in Memphis?
So for me, I always grew up listening to a lot of music and grew up with wanting to go out to local shows. And as a teenager, I was lucky enough to be allowed to go to those shows. And I ended up meeting a lot of people who are still really close to me this day. And just seeing the way that the music community itself just brought people together of all different types, I loved it. You know, it's hard not to. I met so many different people from different places. And like you were touching on earlier, talking about the lens of artists, it's so nice meeting people and coming from different places and you guys all banding together and being able to see things from each other's perspective. And I love that music really does that for people, especially because it connects you on a common thing. And it's like, oh, cool. Now we can learn each other. Yes. It's really cool.
I love that learn each other. You really can tell people's personality by their music taste. Like, you know, someone might have like just one specific, or you might be all over the place, and that can really show as someone being a person. Yeah. What about you, Ellen?
All right. Well, I mean, I had a little bit, my parents are very academic, and so like I wasn't allowed to have cable. Like we didn't have cable growing up and things like that. And so I would legally download the most random music. Sometimes I would pick albums or bands based on how weird the name sounded. Yes. So like I know 100 Dead Rabbits to this day is just a really wild like hardcore band that I don't think exists anymore, but they're still out there. Here We Go is a very good song. But outside of that, let's see, I actually hung out with friends by doing art when they had band practice. That was a huge thing that I did in middle school and high school. Was they would get together to do like I think Ugly Girls was the one band growing up.
That's a great name.
They were amazing, and I really loved being able to just go over to somebody's house and they would make music, and you'd hear all the mistakes and you'd hear all the successes. And then you'd take breaks together and you'd just chat about life and hang out as friends. And I would just be in a different room at a dinner table drawing and coloring and doing my own thing. And so it's always like it's always influenced what I've done is like what other people are doing around me. And then when I moved to Birmingham, I started with a really good friend of mine. He wanted to do 5 albums in 5 years. And I was like, that's insane. Do you have someone to do the album art? And he said no. So I ended up doing, I think, 3 of the album covers for him in those 5 years. And then we also put on a couple of DIY shows together. And I had the same sort of feeling in Birmingham that I did in Memphis. And so it's really cool to be able to copy and paste that feeling of going over and doing art and listening to people practice music, no matter where I was. And I, just maintain that as being like a core essence of what life is about.
So basically your life was like Freaky Friday and you were Lindsay Lohan.
Dude, you know what? I'll take that. I will take that. I had never made that connection before, but I will absolutely take that. But please don't body swap me.
No, we'll keep Jamie Lee Curtis out of this. So outside of like being online, y'all also are going out into the community. Y'all had the Grammys party. What does a BitchBopz event look like? I saw the pictures and it looked like Hollywood. Like it looked like cool Hollywood.
Aww,
like
okay.
The cool kids.
I'll take that.
What was that like? What else y'all have planned in the future?
Yeah. That was really fun because it was kind of a community led event where people were kind of asking like, oh, are you guys doing anything for the Grammys? We didn't know that people actually had interest in that. And we posted a story of like, hey, would you guys be interested if we like held something, you know? And it was so nice that people were like, yeah, we would love to be a part of that. And I think that's kind of when I made the connection of like, oh, people want to come to a space that, you know, we can curate, and it just kind of got us excited. And we reached out to Drew's bar and they were like, oh my gosh, we've never had a watch party, that's such a great idea. And they shout out Drew's bar because honestly,
I love Drew's.
They were amazing to work with.
They were so accommodating and so excited to be a part of it. And that was what really like sealed it for us, was the fact that like the community wants this and like we are just facilitating that. But it's so nice that like we get to represent that. But for us, like I'm big on details, and I just felt like the girlies really need a curated space because I love Memphis and we have a lot of great venues, but I personally want to be in a space where I felt like, oh, they did that for us. Like they want us to feel like excited to be a girl or excited to celebrate this aspect of ourselves that we don't always feel like get celebrated. And so we were really big on details. Like we did every table like a different girl. So we had like a chapel table, we had a dochi table, a brat table, and then we had like art vendors, because we were like, I mean, can we have vendors here? And they were like, yeah, sure. So we just like being able to bring together all different parts of the community that have supported us, but also we're like, all of us are like naturally friends anyway. Like all these people that are coming out to support us, like naturally support each other in the community. But what was really fun was that like we had like over 50 people there on a Sunday night.
That's amazing.
Know? Yeah. And
It was so fun.
another thing that was really fun for me was the excitement that people had to see other people there. Like I remember like Raneem was there and someone's like, oh my gosh, Raneem is there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm also fangirling. Shout out Raneem. I love you.
I'm trying to get her on the show. She's like, after my album.
Oh yeah. She's a busy queen for sure. But yeah, it was just so fun that like everybody was just excited to hang out and like be together. And yeah, I think that kind of solidified us of being like people that host events for the community. That was really exciting and special. Yeah.
Do y'all have plans to do more events? Like what are
Oh yeah.
how are y'all gonna bop along?
Well, we're bopping right along because we are almost at a year. So
Happy birthday, BitchBopz. And
Oh my God.
yeah.
Birthday party.
So our anniversary is going to be, oh my God, I think it's the 26th. I actually need to
February?
of March.
March,
Yes.
okay.
So we are planning, we're currently in the works of planning an anniversary party. And really the focus is just like celebrating just BitchBopz as a community, you know, and having people perform and having vendors come out and just people that not only have supported us, but like that we want to highlight and say thank you for believing in us and for like, you know, being a part of this community. So we're really, really excited about that.
That is exciting. So outside of BitchBopz, I want to talk about each one of y'all personally. What do you do creatively and how do you stay creative?
Yeah, well, so I actually love that question because I have landed a job that is not in the creative section of life. I do research compliance administration. And so it's literally federal regulations, which right now is a big bit of a massive headache. But I never thought about it this way. Doing a non-creative job has allowed me to be more creative outside of my job. My creative juice, my creative flow is not wasted on my income. And which actually, I don't know why I didn't think about that previously, because even doing my visual arts degree with my art history minor and everything, I never ever decided or made the decision, it sounds like a great idea to make my personal art what I make money on. The idea, I mean, anybody who's been a creative ever, you have a piece of your soul in that, right? So how the fuck are you going to price your soul? How are you going to price a piece of your soul? Like that just feels really weird. And so I knew I would never be able to cross the boundary of doing art that didn't include pieces of my soul. And now I'm able to functionally do creative things and get in my creative flow that is so personal and intentional. BitchBopz is a huge one. BitchBopz has taken a lot of my creative flow in ways that are really satisfying. And just, it's the cool thing of being frustrated about something and then having it work out because you worked through the frustration, and that kind of moment I'm obsessed with. I can eat them up any day of the week. And BitchBopz does that for me. And then I also get the ability to like, you're so funny. But I also get the ability to like paint and do things for like just my friends and my family. I get to make things for birthdays instead of spending money. And that's really where my creative flow is right now, is just being able to find ways to support and encourage other people and celebrate other people because it's coming from me, right? It's all about me from the start. So it's nice to be able to cross a bridge and connect with other people that way.
Yeah, I love that. What about you, Taylor?
So I am actually finally starting to learn how to make music.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, I've been playing around with Logic. I've been playing around with so many different programs.
Yeah.
Real buttercup
And
vibes.
absolutely. And as of right now, I was telling them earlier, it sounds like Tom and Jerry sound effects. But
That could be cool, though.
but we're getting there,
Nostalgic.
you know? We can call it hyperpop and call it a day. But no, like seriously, it's been really nice to finally do something like this because it's like, oh, it's a part of, once again, being authentic and making my own authentic sound.
Yeah.
You know, so it's nice to hear all the artists that I take a lot of pride in and do my best to poke around on my computer and make these sound effects. And I'm like, okay, that kind of sounds like Earth Eater.
Yeah. What made you want to take the leap and focus on music?
I mean, I just felt like getting to my mid-20s and not pursuing something like this that I've always wanted to do my whole life was me holding myself back. It's something that makes me happy. It's something that I do every single day. So why wouldn't I do it for myself and make my own authentic sound?
Yeah. What would be kind of the vibe of your debut album?
That is so tough. Oh my goodness.
Have you even thought about that?
I mean, I would say it probably like synthy and ethereal. I would say definitely like harp sounds and lots of scary, haunting vocals.
Ooh, like scary fairy type stuff.
For sure.
I love that.
Let's fucking go, Taylor.
Yes. What about you?
Okay, well, I'm going to be honest. I have a hard time turning off BitchBopz, so it's kind of hard to be like, outside of BitchBopz, whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, you can talk about how you funnel your creative energy into BitchBopz.
For sure.
'Cause you're an amazing graphic designer.
Thank you so much.
Really good.
Honestly, and we've talked about this like through the DMs, but yeah, again, it's like I do this for a living. And so there have been so many times in my career and just starting out too, where I've worked with someone or worked under someone that just didn't really appreciate my artistic direction at all. And it was fine. And like, as I've gotten older, I've learned that, you know, like not everyone has the same style, but I think when I was first starting out, like I took that really hard and it was really personal. 'Cause again, art is so personal, you know, and it really shook me. And I'm like, do I really have what it takes? Or maybe my eye is wrong, you know? And for me, I think being able to connect with other creatives who I look up to, like for you to say something like that to me, I'm like, that means more to me than any critique, like negative that came my way, because I'm like, I respect what you have to say, you know? And I think what keeps me inspired creatively is really being like a part of the community and going to things and just like experiencing life. Like I think previously I was scared to do things like alone or like, oh, I don't know who's going to be there or whatever. And now I'm just like fully open to going to a movie by myself or going to the park for like 2 hours or whatever. And yeah, and that really inspires me a lot. I love spending time alone and, you know, listening to music. Yeah. That really keeps me going, but also seeing other creatives also being constantly busy and just like, it makes me so excited to see everybody just working so hard. And that also inspires me too.
Yeah, I love that. And with your all of y'all's creativity, how do y'all balance kind of having jobs and doing these brands? Like, how do you, that's what I've been struggling with lately.
Therapy. I highly recommend for everyone.
Therapy.
Shout out to therapy.
Shout out to therapy. I love my therapist.
Yes.
And one nap a day for me.
Yeah.
Both of those
Ooh.
things.
Yeah.
I definitely think like being realistic with your time and like your boundaries around creating and stuff like that it's definitely a learning process, especially when you care so much about what you're working on. It's like hard to focus on other responsibilities and seeing that as like an equal thing that you have to care about. I will say they are great in terms of keeping me grounded of like, you don't have to work 60 hours on this a week and people will still like you, you know? I think being comfortable with like being a creative or like doing BitchBopz is a part of who we are. It doesn't necessarily have to be one certain way all the time for it to still be a part of our identity. And I think having them support me and just being like, yeah, it's okay if you don't get a post out today. Like,
it's okay that you worked only 3 hours on it instead of 24. That's fine. That's
as
fine.
long as you did it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'll be completely transparent. I drown a lot of the time. I still work in service industry, so it's a very physical job, so I get tired a lot. And I love doing stuff all the time, but definitely there are days where I really have to sit and completely reset and think about my week and what I probably should be doing instead of lighting the candle at both ends. So I will be totally honest and say, hey, it is so hard. It is so incredibly hard. The hardest thing I've done, probably.
Yeah, it is hard.
But it is so rewarding,
Yeah. What about you?
That is the flip side of it. I mean, how many times does any individual person in their lives decide to really push themselves in order to make something happen on a short-term level? I think anybody can think of something that they've really pushed themselves to get through, like just a temporary period, finish school, whatever it is. And that's the real thing, is we're not looking at a sprint, we're looking at a marathon. We're looking at something that can be really big and really like beyond what we ever considered between the three of us. So being able to both look at that big picture and feel encouraged by it and feel excited by it, and not allowing yourself to get engrossed in the big picture to the point where you feel sad about it and overwhelmed about it. So it's the moments and it's the everyday. And when a week goes weird, when a week goes whack and sideways and bad things happen, and it turns out that the previous times that we really intentionally and worked really hard to plan, like, okay, this is when we're going to get this done, it's not going to happen. And how do you manage being a human being where shit just happens to you and you just have to roll with it? And then you also have shit that you have to get out at the same time, and you can't do everything at once. And so sometimes it's totally valid to take the 15-minute phone time or FaceTime to just get two brains together or whatever it is, rather than expecting 3 to 5 hours of work. It really is, I think, a lot of forgiveness. It's a whole lot of forgiveness for the self. That's one of the things that I took my time to be a part of is I have beaten myself up over not showing up for people. I have told myself that I wasn't worth it because I said that I could draw a thing or sketch out something or help someone make a decision, and I didn't. And it really is just letting myself feel okay with the fact that yesterday or last year I wasn't going to be able to do that, and I didn't. And looking at who I am right now this year, in this time, in this moment, and being really honest about who that person can be for anybody else. Like that was really important to me. Ashley's a really good friend of mine. I want to show up for her, and I want to be able to say, yes, this is something that I'm doing, and then I do it.
Yeah.
And also being able to have, let's be real, external validation is always going to be a good thing. It's always going to be a good thing. Don't get me started
on external validation.
So having 3 people who can work together and be like, oh my God, yes, like, oh, this is perfect, like, yes, thank you so much, like that, any bad day is going to be a better day if you have somebody being like, no, it's totally fine. Yeah. Like, we'll get it done. Like, I'll take care of this, you take care of that, it's fine. Eat some food.
Yeah, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, which is
exactly
a mantra I have to tell myself.
Oh, and it's not easy. It is a long-term effort, but that's the whole thing, is the long-term effort always has some sort of consequence. Yeah. And if it's 3 people who have a general goal in their head about where they want to be and how they want to exist in the world, they come together and talk about it, and then that goal ends up being a shared goal for those 3 people.
Yeah.
So that makes it a whole lot easier. It's never going to be easy, but can always be easier.
Yeah, rewarding.
Exactly.
So for each one of y'all, what have y'all learned about yourself by being with each other?
Oh my God, I'm really gonna cry over this one.
Yeah, Zach, you're gonna hit her in the heart. I think there's a lot going on in there, based on the fact that I think we're all 3 in different places in our lives, both where we're at maybe career-wise and financially, and then also like where we spend our time outside of BitchBopz. Like, we don't spend every weekend and every hour together, which means that we all have very different existences outside of that. And so I think that allows for some really nuanced versions of what you learn, because what I'm learning about Ellen in BitchBopz is different than what I'm learning about Ellen in life because of BitchBopz. So like with BitchBopz specifically, I mean, I'm healing the parts of myself that never showed up for creative opportunities in the past. Like that's a huge thing that I'm doing. And it's not something that I've necessarily learned about myself, but it's a lot more about being able to prove to myself something that I wasn't sure of in the past and learning that I'm actually very capable where I hoped I could be capable. That's my favorite thing. I've been asked to do t-shirts, tattoos, album covers, yada, yada. And yeah, I got some of them done. But they weren't consistent projects. They weren't something that was building to something bigger. And this is a consistent thing that's building to something bigger. And so showing up for that and is just completely healing the parts of me that didn't think that I could show up for things and participate in a bigger project and be valued in that project. So that's probably like the one that's relevant.
Yeah, that's so sweet. I'm gonna start crying with Ashley.
We cry a lot.
Yeah.
We all cry a lot.
Yeah.
I would definitely say I've learned that I have an excellent team behind me. Not only spending time like doing like our thing with our project, but just being friends and spending time together. It's opened up so many different aspects of me, you know? It's just really cool, and I just really appreciate having people that are still here to expand me as a person, because I feel like that's kind of hard to find. I'm lucky.
Okay, well, I don't know how to follow that. Honestly, the hardest thing for me was starting it. Using my voice has never really been my strong suit when it comes to talking about myself. It's a lot easier for me to advocate for other people and use my voice to like spotlight others. And I don't know, I've gotten older. I'm almost 30.
30s are awesome. It's been the best year of my life, honestly.
Yeah. So I was in my Saturn's return, and I was like, I want to do something like impactful, and I want to like do something that has meaning to me. And I have kind of always been the sensitive empath, crybaby, pink, yada yada, whatever. And that's cool, but I feel like a lot of the time over my life, like I've been made fun of for that, or, you know, I've been made to feel small for crying about things or whatever. And another thing about me is that I have this flip side where I love hyperpop and 100 gecs and rap. I love rap, you know? And so I have struggled with like being seen fully, where it's like I'll show these girls my Ariana Grande side. I'm not going to show them, you know, my Young Dolph side or whatever. Or I'll show these people that I listen to rap, and then I won't tell them that I cry myself to sleep to Drake or, you know, whatever. And yeah, I think just putting myself out there in that way of like, I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. And I am not doing this just because I care about other people knowing my opinion. I want other people to feel like they are seen and valued, and that those things that have made them feel small or made them feel like not included in the music scene or made them feel like they didn't have an opinion worth expressing. Like I wanted them to feel seen and be like, hey, you're not the only person that feels like that. Like, and something that I've learned is that the community here is just so special. Like I am blown away every time someone likes a post or someone like DMs me. Like that's so funny, because like I've been here my whole life, but I have always tried to hide and make myself smaller. You know, I didn't want people to know who I was when I went out. And now something that I have learned is that I love going out and like representing BitchBopz and people coming up to me and like knowing me, and I know them. And like I see them for who they are, and they see me for like exactly who I am, and like it. Like that's been so rewarding. And it's also made me realize that like I can use my voice in a way that supports other people and gets a message and a platform to people that deserve it. And yeah, I think it's allowed me to see things in a bigger way, to where I'm okay with using my voice because I know the end goal is for other people.
I love that. Y'all are so cool. So my favorite question to ask artists and creatives is, if you had all the time and all the resources, what would be your dream project for you personally, each one of you personally, and for BitchBopz?
Me personally, The reason I went, and hopefully she sees this one day. No, I'm just kidding. But I literally put myself back in school because of Rihanna. I'm not kidding. When she dropped Savage Fenty, I was obsessed with the marketing. I loved lingerie. I love the way that she expresses femininity.
The shows.
It's strength, and being sexy, and the way that she can look like a dude one day and then fully have her nipples out the next day. Yeah. And you respect her equally for each look, you know? And I was like, I want to work for her. And I went to school for graphic design and did fashion merchandising specifically to like do collage work and do campaigns to work for Savage Fenty. So my dream would be to like do a marketing campaign or be involved with anything that Rihanna does, for real. So
Rihanna, get at your girl.
We're here. She's not moving.
Yeah.
What about you, Taylor?
I would definitely say my dream project would probably just be being able to work with a lot of the interesting producers that you see nowadays. You know, like I think Charlie XCX is a very strong femme representation that's really awesome. I love Dylan Brady. He's an excellent producer. Stop. You know, just working with people like that who show up for artists and not only just like help them with their music, but actually support them. I think that'd be awesome. And for BitchBopz, I just hope we keep getting to hang out, you know? Seriously, no, I love what we do. Even if we, you know, stop being as, you know, if we stop doing like events and stuff and just stuff like that, like I'm cool with just posting playlists. Yeah. You know, I love like what we do and getting to hear each other's music and our each opinions, you know?
Hey, fun fact, did you know Dylan Brady was on FKA Twigs' last album?
I did.
He helped produce Striptease, which is one of my faves.
Oh, what? That's crazy.
I'm still in eusexual.
I am a eusexual. I'm never going to get out.
I am eusexual.
That's so good.
Oh my god, sorry. I really love these people. Wow. So this is actually BitchBopz is literally in the vein of my dreams. Like it's so weird how that works out. But for a really long time I developed in college, I had this whole thing, and personally, again, didn't want to do my own art for money. But I had the very well-rounded ability to see what it took other artists to make things happen. Whether it was going to markets, whether it was selling in galleries, whether it was getting your art into other media forms like album art or set design, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many different branches it can go into. And it oftentimes does interweave with music in some way, shape, or form. And the musicians have similar issues. Doing it on your own, doing it for other people, doing it as a part of some sort of company. There are so many branches, and it's not easy. It's not easy also to keep yourself safe and protected from being taken advantage of. And I really wanted, my dream was to create something that allowed musicians and artists to not only collaborate with each other. For example, you need an album cover. Guess what? I have 5 artists who want to do album covers right now. Like that was a dream of mine. And then also to be able to allow education to be given to the community in like the freest way possible to save them from that gap between amateur and professional. That's where everybody gets eaten alive. You don't know who you are, you don't know what you're doing, or maybe you do, but at the same time there's so much you don't know. And I really, really hate seeing story after story after story, whether it's in a big publication or in a friend's story of their lives, just people getting eaten up and taken advantage of. And I was like, I want to build something that allows these people to not be taken advantage of so frequently. And so BitchBopz, literally, like, not the exact same thing, but in the exact same vein. Like, it's the ability to give people voices and education and community so that they're less likely to be put in situations they don't want to be a part of, being taken advantage of. Something that we talk frequently is that venues have less power than they think they do when it comes to the artist. It's really the artist that has a lot of the power. And so how do you give artists the culture, the community to feel that they have that power is a way that we're able to keep artists from being taken advantage of. So
very important.
That's dream. That's full dream for me. So it's hilarious that it works so well exactly with what we're doing right now. And then like No Holds Barred project in general, I would love to create like an architecture grant for artists who don't do architecture. I'm thinking very specifically of artists who do like metalwork, woodwork, etc., tile work, stuff like that. And like, how do we add to current buildings stuff that works with the architecture that's currently there and is functional in some form, but like adds the beauty or the magic or the whimsy back to it. So like, instead of rain drains, like get a metal artist to like devise a metal dragon that's actually a rain drain.
I love that.
And put that on a building. Like that would be a dream, would be to have like an architectural artist grant to be able to give to people in different cities, to add to buildings, to be able to add some whimsy to neighborhoods that don't initially have them.
That is so cool because everything is so rectangular and
yes,
white,
Bauhaus is everywhere.
I love that. And your dreams for BitchBopz.
Ooh, my dreams for BitchBopz. Honestly, I love that it is so like local community led, but I would love for it to expand to, across the country. Like, it would be really cool to have like boppers that are represented on the West Coast, and like how that music scene is versus ours, and then like being able to cross promote, like, oh, well, the BitchBopz headquarters in LA has a artist that needs to come to Memphis, and how do we facilitate that? Things like that. Honestly, I always had the dream before I even started BitchBopz of like creating some sort of label, like a music label, or some sort of like PR, because I feel like right now a huge disconnect for artists is that if you're independent, you don't have the backing of like the marketing, the money, the PR and stuff like that. And one thing that I see us expanding in is being that for artists. And I don't really know. And
I
again,
totally see that.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm trying to figure out a way to like scale it in a realistic way, because I also have a 9-to-5 and I have to like go to the grocery store and stuff. But like I think it would be really cool to be like the facilitator for independent artists to still maintain that independence, but to have a team of people that are like, hey, we will help you promote your show. We will help you get a photo shoot together, or, do some sort of like album artwork and things like that, because we have a collective of artists and creatives that all want to work together, and we are all aligned with the same values and mission, to where it's like we don't have to worry about, oh, is this person a weirdo? Oh, that, you know what I mean? Because we are already, we've vouched for these people essentially.
Yeah, I love that. I would love to see a BitchBopz record label.
Dude, right?
I mean,
yeah, that'd be
the
cool.
future is full of opportunities.
It is.
Yeah.
Final question. Can I be a bitch?
Yes.
Yes.
A bitch and a ball. Let's
Okay,
fucking go.
Awesome.
Also, I would like to say bitch is gender neutral, and to all the dudes or non-females that are boppers, I feel like people are scared to say bitch to us, so you can say, hey, bitches. I want to make that very clear.
Hey,
we
bitch me all
also
day.
encourage it.
Okay. That's
So
good to know.
we're reclaiming the word bitch, and we're reclaiming the word bop, okay?
Love that. Love that. Well, I want to thank y'all so much for coming on. I think y'all are the coolest. Y'all embody friendship, femininity, amazingness, and like y'all are gonna like revive like the Memphis music scene.
Aww.
And
One step at a time.
And I can't wait to see what y'all do. So thanks for
Hey,
joining
back at you. And honestly, like, thank you for creating the space
Yeah.
for not only like art, but to be able to expand the term creative, and like that's something I feel like is so important for the local art scene of like music and art and film and video, and all of these communities being able to like openly talk and support each other. So I'm excited to see what you have.
Yeah,
to do.
absolutely.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
super pumped, Zach.
Yeah.
Better keep it coming.
Thank
I
you
will.
so much.
I'm gonna keep going. I can't wait to hear your debut album.
Yeah.
Oh my
Let's
gosh.
go.
Well, now I have a lot of stuff to think about, because some of these questions I was like,
Yeah. Get your notepad out.
absolutely.
All right. Well, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.